Hey guys, welcome back to Puffalauda, and welcome back to Café Enchanté. Ignis is about to tell us about how, I guess, the firewolves kind of died off and why there's only so few of them left. So let's get right into it. I think I read this, but I'll read it again just in case. He began to open up, unraveling his tragic history, and the reasons which motivated him to become the greatest fighter Bestia had ever seen. Back in the day, no, I'm just kidding. God, I can't, what was his voice like again? I keep forgetting, because his is a little different than, like, just me going low. My people, the Firewolves, began as a small, tight-knit tribe that did their best to resist being wiped out a long time ago. The truth is, we've always been persecuted. Even since Bestia's ancient times, people set out to exterminate the Firewolves. It became something of a pastime, a baseless, bizarre tradition that sadly has survived through generations. We've experienced torment, oppression, and suffering in ways that went beyond murder. Also, a tribe's stronghold is always under threat of raiding tribes that want to come and sack it. That happened when I was a kid. Flames spread, melting our stronghold. Red-stained snow, the scarlet of another name. The corpses of my kin, the faces I saw alive and well moments ago, strewn on the ground. Among them were the women and small children incapable of defending themselves. Those lifeless bodies were trampled, kicked around. The raiders did nothing but laugh. They chased any surviving firewolves as if they were playing a game of tag, murdering their targets for sport. On that day, I saw the face of evil. I remember it so clearly. All I could do was howl in rage, a scorching rage which consumed me. Before I knew it, I lashed back at them. That part of the story is kind of fuzzy. When I came to, the raiders vanished from our stronghold. That's right, according to the firewolves who managed to hide during the raid. Apparently, I went on a rampage and thrashed at the invaders until they were driven away. That was when I discovered that I was one of the strongest firewolves in our history, but that didn't matter a bit, because during my rampage, the surviving firewolves, folks I spent time with every day of my life, people I called my friends, were murdered. That scared a little kid. I was fending off a bunch of raiders and he came running towards me. But in my bloodlust, my manic state, I couldn't save him. In fact, I couldn't remember a thing.
だから俺はその後悔になる原因になったこの世界のルール自体が憎くて仕方ねえんだ。
The same went for Drami. Sure, he might prance like an idiot all the time, but his entire family was murdered too. In fact, his situation is probably far more tragic than mine, since he's the last of his species. Firewolves and werecats lived closely for years, and we both suffered the same fate of persecution. We were neighbors. That's how he was taken in by the firewolf tribe. Well, at the end of the day, this only made life tougher for him, having to contend with raid after raid. His resilience is the sole reason that he's alive today. Alright, now I feel a little bad for Drami. I've just been insulting him constantly. After gazing at the field, Ignis stared at the vast field of ice, upon which a massacre could be happening, just as it had so many times before.
魔獣は闘争本能のままに理由もなく強さを証明し合うために争う。一応俺も魔獣だからよ。それについては諦めてるっつうかある程度受け入れてんだ。喧嘩も普通に好きだしな。けどよ。
He continued with a whimper in his voice.
なんで殺すんだ。 別に殺さなくたって強さを証明することはできんだろう。人間界の野生の動物みてえに生き死にがかかってるなら、まあ複雑だが理解はできる。だがベスティアはちげえ。魔獣たちはただ強さを求めて殺し合う。それも戦う意志がねえ弱い魔獣まで巻き込んで、あえて残酷にむごたらしく。ガキの頃からずっとその理由を考えてきたけどよ、未だに納得できる答えを出せてね。
I listened without saying a word as Ignis's voice cracked. Perhaps this was the first time he had ever opened up about his trauma. Each word felt cumbersome and awkward. He looked insecure about whether or not he could accurately convey the storm that raged inside of him. As a response, I mustered a single nod of affirmation. Seeing this, he finally...
俺はよ、その価値観を変えたいと思ってベスティアのトップに立ったんだ。俺が誰の血も流さず魔獣の頂点に立てば、少しぐらいは影響を受ける魔獣が出てくるかと思ったんだよ。
At last, he revealed what he fights for in this world.
今さらこの血に染まった世界を平和にしたいなんて高望みはしねえ。ただせめて殺した命に対して敬意を払う程度の価値観が欲しかった。
So Ignis kept fighting, despite the persecution, despite being an outcast. He wanted to usher in a new world, one without killing or bloodshed. But judging by the condition of the Minotaurs...
けどまあ、結局トップに立っても何も変わらなかったけどな。ベスティアに戻れば襲われて、むしろ俺の命を狙う順をめぐって殺し合いが起こる始末だ。なあ、琴音。答えなくてもいいから聞いてくれるか？
Instead of answering verbally, I give a slight nod for an answer. I let him know I'm listening, that I'm catching every single word.
どうして俺の故郷はこんな残酷な世界になったんだろうな。もし遥か昔にその元凶になった奴がいたとしたなら、俺はそいつを一生恨む。
Ignis unleashed his aimless anger out towards the desolate tundra. After saying everything he needed to say, Ignis quietly took a breath and exhaled.
聞いてくれてありがとよ。俺はずっと誰かにこの本心を打ち明けたかったのかもしれねえ。
Was it really okay to tell me? I'm just a human who knows nothing about Bestia.
いいんだよ。いや、お前だからこそ話したいと思った。
Why is that?
は？どうしてってそれをお前。俺はだな。こうして話を聞いてくれるお前のことが。
He's so cute. God, I can't. I literally can't. This is just every single time Ignis fucking speaks, my heart just like goes like, oh. He's just so adorable. I ship them so hard. This is beautiful. I could cry. Without missing a beat, his stomach began to growl. We looked at each other and immediately we couldn't contain our laughter. Oh, come on! Did you time that? Is this normal?
仕方ねえだろ。どんな気分の時だって腹が減る時は減るんだからよ。
Excuses aside, Ignis could hardly contain his laughter as well. After his sorrowful story came the type of typical exchange we would have at Enchanté. Being flung into this place might have spelled total disaster, at least at first, but I was beginning to think that, as long as I remind myself that I'm with Ignis, as long as we could laugh together, I would find peace through the chaos. That's so... Oh, they're so cute. In the end, we spent a few more minutes getting all of our laughs out. But Ignis, why in the world is your stomach growling so loud? You were fine before I got here.
いや、お前が近づいたら急に。なんか食い物とか持ってんのか?
Huh? Why would I? I was dragged here in the middle of the night. Of course I don't.
だよな。けど、お前からうまそうな匂いがする。
Huh? Something tasty. Maybe I smell like food because I cooked before I came?
なるほどな。ああ、そういや、お前からもらった弁当うまかったぜ。ありがとうよ。
Happy to hear it. I made quite a bit of food. Were you able to eat it all?
ああ、まあ、そりゃ、お前の作った飯だし、当然食い切れたんだけどよ。いや、なんつうか、初日に案の定大量の魔獣どもに襲われてよ。その後、
You ate it
すげえ腹が減って。
immediately. Wait a minute. Don't tell me you ate it all. Seriously? All in one day?
ちゃんと味わって食ったぞ。
That's fine and all, but his appetite was totally insatiable.
兄貴大変さ
As the footsteps drawing closer echoed, we broke our embrace immediately. Oh, we were still in that position.
てめえ寝たんじゃねえのか
寝てたところ他のビニトルたちに叩き起こされたんす。それより兄貴、すぐに縄張りに戻ってきてください。こことは別の縄張り近くにアルムムが現れたらしいっす。
Where the fuck are these things coming from? Minotaurs? Oh god, Kororo's still there. With Dromi's report, we rushed back to the stronghold.
こっちだ、イグニス。
Guided by the firewolf, Ignis and I ran beneath the frigid sky. As long as there are minotaurs around, separating from Ignis would be dangerous. I could be taken hostage like last time. For those reasons, it was best for me to accompany him to wherever the minotaurs may be hiding. Somewhere in the field of ice south of the settlement. There they were. We came to a mutual decision among us that, instead of engaging with them immediately, we would surveil them behind the ice blocks. It didn't seem as though they were searching necessarily for the firewolf's stronghold. The reason being, one by one, the group of minotaurs would jump into a dark warping hole, in other words, a wormhole.
大当たりだな。まさか俺の地元の近くにホールがあるとはよ。
Do you think that wormhole is connected to the human world?
だろうな。向こうにはカヌスと箱入りがいるだろうし、でけえ被害は出ねえだろうが。
Ignis said this under his breath, right before he lightly tapped my shoulder. He leapt out from behind the ice block, revealing himself to the minotaurs. I hid in the shadows, and his uncle and I did our best to contain our breathing. The minotaurs, noticing Ignis's appearance, all turned to face him simultaneously. Their eyes were, as expected, the same as those we saw at the GPM in downtown.
やっぱ正気を失ってやがるな。ここに来るまでにどんだけ暴れてきやがったんだ。けどま、とりあえずはこれ以上はホールを使わせねえよ。梅雨払いといくか
Oh god, Ignis! He flashed a confident smile and ignited his flames, sprinting towards the minotaurs heading for the wormhole. The wolf howled, digging his fiery fangs into his opponents relentlessly, just as he did before. Or maybe better than that. Ignis easily subdued the minotaurs. But one of the minotaurs cleaved into another that Ignis had knocked out. Ugh! It shredded his fallen comrade, as if to distract Ignis. Ignis thankfully was unharmed, but he was overcome with the surprise at the sight of this merciless attack. The other minotaurs followed suit, and they began breaking out into mass violence. What is going on? Without any fear or hesitation against the fists and flames blocking their path. Some attacked Ignis, some attacked their own kin, running into the flames head on. They battled Ignis without fear, knowing he could easily crush their bones. There were no casualties, but I had to avert my eyes from the wave of violence. Thanks to Ignis's efficient subduing of the Minotaurs, I was spared from witnessing further bloodshed. But one remained. There was a lone Minotaur watching the battlefield from afar. We only noticed him as the dust settled. The beast opened its mouth. What the fuck? Thick drops of viscous saliva dripped from his mouth, splashing onto the snowy ground. It's clear he isn't sane. But one thing was, we finally encountered a Minotaur that may be able to communicate with us. To grasp this one-time opportunity, Ignis lowered his fists. Instead, he threw out a question.
おい、牛肉くんよ。てめえら一体何のつもりだ？人間界で俺を襲って何になる？ベスティアで俺をぶっ倒して死体を晒してもしねえ限り、俺からトップを奪った証明にはなんねえだろ。
違う。もう俺たちはトップなんてどうでもいい。
んだと。
Ignis was taken slightly aback. The Minotaur cackled in the distance as the icy air swirled around us.
俺たちの目的はただ一つ。どんな手を使っても、どんな場所を選んでも、てめえを殺すこと。てめえが危険だから。魔獣として異常だから。排除しなくちゃならね
え。Huh?
はあ？
Ignis lowered his shoulders, letting the Minotaur's words sink in.
異常だ？まさか不殺のことを言ってんのか？だとしたら今更すぎんだろ。
In response to Ignis's confused response, okay. The Minotaur bent over backwards, breaking into heavy, patronizing laughter.
何がおかしい？
不殺偽善者。てめえが命を語るなどおかしい。
The beast grinned, continuing his ridicule.
だってよ、殺してるだろ。ビニトルの縄張りが襲われた時、襲ってきた魔獣を同族のビニトルもろとも全員な。
There was an unforeseen revelation, one even Ignis wasn't aware of.
は？
Ignis's jaw dropped, completely dumbfounded. The Minotaur continued.
正気を失い暴れたてめえはそれを覚えてねえだけ。
There's no fucking way that this Minotaur knows this. There's gotta be someone communicating through the Minotaur.
わかるだろ、イグニス。本当はわかってんだろ。
In the face of the Minotaur's accusations, the color drained from Ignis's face.
ざっけんな！さっきからこっちが黙ってりゃ適当なホラばっか吹きやがって。俺が殺しただと。それも他のビニトルまで巻き込んで。くったらねえ。んな根拠のねえ妄言を誰が信じるってんだよ。
根拠ならここにあるぜ。確かめてみろよ。お前にとっては懐かしいだろう。こいつの匂いをな。
His? The Minotaur chuckled, throwing in an object towards Ignis. A ruined armlet. It differed in size, but it resembled the one Ignis wore on his arm. The moment he caught it, Ignis's eyes shot open, full of disbelief.
これあの時に死んだあいつの腕は
By that kid. Could he mean his dear friend whom he had lost when he was a boy? Why would the Minotaur have it? But upon closer inspection, Ignis's surprise was for another reason entirely. His gaze was affixed to the dried blood on it.
なんてあいつの残した腕輪の血痕に俺の匂いが混ざってんだ
決まってんだろ
You were right next to him when he was attacked, obviously. This is the worst evidence. No sooner after the Minotaur answered. Oh God. Ignis grabbed his head, crying at the top of his lungs in sheer agony.
やめろ敵はあっちの魔獣たちだろなんで俺たちまで
イグニス、もうやめてくれ。一体どうしちゃったんだよ。僕たちのことがわからないのか。今の君はまるでイグニス。
Did he actually?
その面思い出したみてえだな
Like, I'll save it until we stop. But Ignis's body jerked in reaction to the Minotaur's whispered taunt. He howled out as if in utter denial to the accusation.
ちげえ今のは何かの間違いだ俺は誰も殺してなんかいねえ現に他のビニトルたちがそう言って
じゃあもう一度聞いてみろよそこにいる当時のことを知るビニトルによ
He noticed my presence. Beyond that, someone stepped out, and without objecting to the Minotaur's words, he looked shaky, uncomfortable, and his hesitation was troubling, perhaps giving credence to the Minotaur's taunt. Credence. Ignis spoke to the silent man, his voice quivering with worry.
おいおじき何黙ってんだこんな時に冗談はやめろ俺はあの時誰も殺さず魔獣を追い返したガキだった俺にそう教えたのはあんたらだろうが
After desperately pleading with him to reject the Minotaur's claims.
すまない、イグニス。だが、
Uncle, this is not the time!
お前自身が一番わかっているだろう。蘇った記憶が間違いではないと。
In other words,
だよそりゃじゃあ他のビニトルが俺を避け続けてる本当の理由は
ああ、当時の魔獣やビニトルのようにお前にいつ殺されるかとひたすらに恐怖しているからだ。
Wait, please. I can't help but interject in confusion. Then, why? Why is Ignis still accepted in the stronghold?
無論、当時は危険すぎるイグニスを殺せという声が多く上がった。それを解き伏せ、真実を隠すことを選んだのは他ならぬ私だ。
The man said so plaintively. but his tone was unkind to Ignis.
落ち着け、皆の者。お前たちの意見はもっともだが、冷静に考えるのだ。こたびの襲撃とイグニスの暴走で、戦えるビニトルは彼以外すべて死に絶えた。残った彼を殺せば、また次に魔獣に襲われた時、我々はどうなる？ビニトルが生き残り、血を残していくためには、危険を承知の上で彼をあの恐ろしい化け物を利用し飼いならしていくしかないだろう。
What the fuck, Uncle? What? They used him out of nothing but fear and for penance. They called him a monster. The cruel designation, delivered from his relative no less, was a heavy blow. His hands fell limp, and from them slipped his friend's memento, his dying artifact, sinking into the plush snow. The Minotaur cackled at the grieving Ignis.
もう一つついでに教えてやるよ。そもそもよ、正気を失って暴れる魔獣なんざてめえ以外にはいねえんだよ。
は？今度は何の話だよ。
Ignis looked like he wanted to cover his ears, but the Minotaur went on without mercy.
魔獣はもともと自分勝手で残酷だからこそ、それを当然のこととして狂わねえ。どいつも理性を保ってる。だがてめえは違う。戦い、狂って暴れ、殺す。理性を保って戦う俺たちよりもよっぽど厄介じゃねえか。
Normally, Ignis wouldn't hesitate to call the Minotaur out for his lies. But right now, Ignis...
おい、おじき。
He was powerless, and all he wanted was truth.
魔獣は戦い、闘争本能を刺激することで来る。ずっとあんたが俺に言い聞かせてきたその教えも。
ああ、私の嘘だ。少しでもお前が暴走しないよう自分を戒めさせるための。
Wow, fuck you, Uncle. Seriously? That's a terrible idea. Wow, wow, wow. I'm so angry.
でなけれ
Oh.
お前を化け物扱いなどはすまい。
You abusive fuck.
ってことは、俺が今まで信じていたもんは全部が全部丸ごと嘘っぱちだったってこと。
Ignis finally fell into complete silence, hanging his head downward.
これで分かっただろ。イグニス、てめえはな、ベスティアでただ一人の魔獣でもなんでもねえ。
Shut up!
だからこそお前は誰もかなわねえほど強えんだ。
Then the Minotaur turned his back to us without another word, as if his mission was accomplished. He left the dumbstruck Ignis behind, sneering in triumph. At the same time, because the active wormhole was unstable, its opening silently closed. As for the man who was revealed to have lied to Ignis his whole life,
すまない、イグニス。本当にすまなかった。
No, he doesn't have to forgive you. He apologized profusely, then headed back to the stronghold. What the fuck? Like, okay, the uncle literally, hold on, we're gonna stop here, but the uncle literally just showed his true colors 100%. He had never cared for Ignis. What kind of fucking bullshit is that? What the fuck? That is so terrible. Like, Ignis clearly has like some type of PTSD or something. Like, he watched his his entire family get attacked when he was really young. He had to fucking fight to live. Like, I'm sure he lashed out without realizing, etc. Like, there's other things that go in with that, sure, but like, to call him a monster, to just write him off as a monster, to say like, oh well, he doesn't know good from bad, so he's just a monster, he's never gonna grow out of that. Like, what? Like, and then to lie to his face for the entire lifetime that he's been alive, like, he doesn't even live in human years, so this means that he could have been lying to him for hundreds of years. That's so fucked up. And then to be like, well, you must forgive me, and then he just walks off. He doesn't even go up to Ignis and he's like, I'm sorry I lied, like, you're my only family, like, I didn't know what to do, that was my mistake at the time. Like, he didn't say anything, he was just like, oh, sucks to suck, bitch, and then just walked away. That's such fucking garbage. And like, not only does this, like, is this horrible news, of course, but it doesn't affect how Ignis is right now. He hasn't rampaged in God knows how long, since he was a kid. So, like, he's taken so many steps to be a better person and to not kill and to not do these things. And like, they're just gonna write it all off like, oh, well, none of that matters because you killed in the beginning. And it's like, no, he didn't know any better when he was a kid. Like, he had a moment of weakness, he let something overcome him or something like that, but he spent his entire time trying to make the world a better place. So you can't just write all of that off because he just killed somebody in the beginning, or he killed people in the beginning. Like, oh, I'm so heated. Oh, all right, next episode. I guess we have to fucking handle the damage that Mr. Uncle did, and this random Minotaur, which, what the fuck was that? Oh god, I could literally go on a rant for hours. So, next episode, we try to heal Ignis from how hurtful his family is. What the fuck?